Hello, it's Martin and Arthur from Wisely Automotive with a bit of a different video to the usual ones because we will be discussing a lot of servicing information for you. Hence, excuse the fact that we have got phones in our hands because there's a lot of notes and figures to remember, so we may reference those. Basically, all you need to know is that there is a massive 3-video series coming out on i3 servicing, which will go very in-depth, so especially if you're outside of the UK and you want to learn everything there is to know about what goes into servicing these i3s. That will happen at some point in the future, so make sure to subscribe to not miss that. But in this video specifically, we will discuss pricing updates and what's happening here at Wisely Automotive. So, first of all, I think a bit of a background about Wisely. Obviously, you are the boss, so yes. I think it's your turn to explain where it started and how we got to this point.
Okay, fair enough. So, Wisely Automotive started in 2017, 2018 in the format it's currently in, specialising in BMW i3s. At first we just sold them, and once you start selling quite a few of a certain car, you start to find niggles and issues, and we start essentially learning how to repair them ourselves. So by 2019 we were pretty much doing everything on i3s in-house, and that included servicing. Obviously, with that many cars being sold, we also had a lot of customers asking whether they can bring their cars back for routine servicing and also odd repairs here and there. And then in 2020, we also launched our own in-house warranty, which meant really that any kind of repairs or problems within that warranty period, if the car was local, it would be coming back to us. Also around that time, Martin came along and we started doing our YouTube channel and sort of showing you guys what we do and how we do it. And that meant that we started getting quite a lot of demand from people who haven't bought a car from us but have an i3 for servicing and repairs and anything else i3 related. Now that meant for an influx of inquiries, but you've got to keep in mind we are a sales business first and the servicing is very much a secondary stream for us. So for those customers who haven't bought from us, we essentially reserve 2 slots per week for those kind of bookings. Now, at the moment, we're in, what is it?
Mid-February,
17th of February, and I think our next slot is...
It's now late April. I had a couple of bookings over the last few days. So yeah, we are now basically booking over 2 months in advance.
Yeah, and it's been pretty constant. Sometimes it comes down to about a month ahead. Sometimes it's as much as 3 months ahead. So just keep that in mind if you are wanting to use us. This will also all be touched on in the 3-part series.
With that out of the way, let's talk about the important stuff, which is what we can do and how much it costs. So far, we have been charging £90 an hour for our labour rate. And unfortunately, as
plus
anything,
VAT.
Plus VAT, important.
Yeah.
And as anything, prices of us renting here, having the premises, etc., have been going up. So it's now your turn to deliver the bad news that the labour rate is going up slightly, isn't it?
It is, and it is slight, and I think also it should have been going up incrementally sort of year on year, and really it's been at £90 since the beginning. So yeah, rather than just sort of doing lots of little changes, we've tried to suppress it for as long as possible, but now it's at the point where it's just not viable continuing at that price. So we are doing, as Martin has suggested, a small increase. One thing to really highlight is that a labour rate, yes, it's a good indication of what you're going to pay and also gives you the ability to kind of compare between other places. However, keep in mind also it's very much job dependent and speed dependent. So there are certain jobs that we've probably done, I'd say close to 300-400 times, like the front suspension gaiters. And on a good day, we can get that done in under an hour, usually more like an hour and a half, something like that. If you go somewhere that hasn't done that before or has only done it 1 or 2 times, they're going to bill for more hours because it's going to take them longer. So ultimately, it's not all just down to the labour rate, it's the price for the job in total.
Because of this, and we totally understand that you want to know upfront about how much you're going to pay for certain jobs, we have a fixed price servicing menu with all the frequent items on there, like the front suspension gaiters, the 12-volt battery replacement, and so on. And these really just show that there are no surprises on the day. You know exactly how much you will be paying. But with these examples, let's discuss how the new labour rate and some of the part costs have changed as well.
Yep.
How has that impacted the actual prices for our customers?
Excuse me, I don't have these all up here, so I'm just going to have to look at the phone. Firstly, the most popular job we do here is just servicing. So i3s require a service every 2 years or biennially. And as you can see, the old price for a BEV for a fully electric i3 was £214, all in, including VAT. That's now £230, so sort of £15 increase. Range extender service has gone from £335 to £360, so about a £25 increase there. The majority of that is, I'm afraid, on the labour front. There's been a few small changes in the prices. Also, the cost of castrol oil has gone up slightly. Also, it's worth noting, often I see online sort of people saying they've gone for a range extender service and it's £190. It just cannot be £190 using the parts we're using. So they're either using non-OEM parts or non-castrol oil. Because to get to that price, I think it would be sort of £15 a labour or something. So to avoid any doubt, I think it would be good to sort of show what exactly is included in a service. Because here at Wisely, we followed the BMW guide to the letter. Right, let's move on, have a look at some others. So brake pads, not very common for us. Usually we're replacing brakes because the discs have corroded. Actually, the pads generally come out all right, but 70, 80,000 miles, we do have the occasional car that needs front pads. So that has gone, using BMW parts, that's gone from £254 down to £249. So tiny change of £4. And that is because BMW have added i3 consumables to what they call their value line range. So they'll sort of bundle up a few components, in this case the brake pads and the wear sensor, and do a slightly more attractive price. Idea being that people will still use OEM genuine parts as these cars get older and essentially cheaper. They still want people to be using BMW parts. So it's really good to see that i3s have joined that value line program. And that's one example of, even though there's a slight increase in our labour rate, the overall price has actually gone down.
And I think it also should put people at ease that BMW and manufacturers for any car in general, by law, are required to keep making parts even after a car has been discontinued. So even though the last i3 rolled off the line, it's now over a year.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the parts are still going to be available. And of course, on top of that, you have got the salvage kind of used car market. So there's plenty of options to keep these cars on the road.
Yeah, good point as well to mention that we pretty much just use OEM BMW parts. We've got access to all of the RRP, so you're not paying more than you would at BMW. There are a few cases where we use non-genuine parts, but in those cases we will tell you why, and usually it's because it works out a lot cheaper and there's no difference in quality. One that comes to mind is the business nav repair, which actually you've done a video on.
Yes, click in the top right-hand corner if you want to see how that works.
Somewhere there, but I think that the genuine article, because you can't just replace the actual LCD screen, you have to replace the whole thing. It's thousands.
Yeah, it's over 1,000 definitely.
Yeah, whereas the repair kit is about £100. So in those cases, it makes sense to use non-official parts. So yeah, that's that one. Suspension. So as we suggested earlier, front suspension gaiters. These fail usually every 2 to 3 years, depending on how you use the car. And actually, we do have a video coming all about that and whether you should be changing them or not changing them, etc. But that was £195 using the genuine BMW parts, and that's now gone up to 213, so a few pounds. Top mounts, so this has actually gone down from £188 per side. That includes a new gaiter, down to 178. That's due to where we're sourcing that part from. And now let's move on to some of the electrical things. So the 12-volt battery, really common job. Maybe you can overlay a photo of the ones we've just got rid of.
Yep.
That's about 5 months worth of jobs, and that is gone from £162 up to £171. In that case, the price of the battery has gone up. But I've actually always thought, for a genuine part, it's not that expensive. And we have had a lot of cases where we've seen cars being fitted with non-BMW batteries where problems have potentially developed because of that. We can't confirm it for sure, but there's been a few cases which put them all together, and there seems to be a pattern.
And it's important to mention that with us, we do have access to the official BMW ISTA system. So when we code the batteries, we always code the batteries, and the price includes the coding of the battery to the car. It's done using the genuine system. There's no kind of botched way of going about it. It's how it should be done, and it's how a BMW main dealer would do it as well.
And to a certain extent, our access to that system has also been reflected in the price changes because to use ISTA, which is what it's called officially, we actually have to buy a token every time we use it. Usually we buy an hourly token. You can also buy a 24-hourly token, monthly. Obviously, the main dealers will buy an annual token, and that price has changed recently as well. So just keep that in mind. You know, there's all these extra little things that we have to pay that you might not even have realised, just to essentially plug your car into the official system. So yeah, that's the 12-volt battery. Maybe a whole video about 12-volt batteries needs to be...
I think a whole video needs to be done on everything. But we have a long list of videos ahead. So it's obviously, as we say, we are a sales business first. So the sales take priority. And when we come across something which we think you should know about, we try our best to share the knowledge as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. But moving on with the electricals. So heaters. Really common this time of year. We've had, I think, maybe 6 or 7 this winter. That has gone from £865 up to £896, so about £30 jump. And that also involves coolant, so it's not just the price of the part. Heated seat repair, pretty expensive one, quite a common job. To replace the whole cushion, because the heated element is in the cushion, that's gone from 356 to 383. So yeah, if you're buying an i3 elsewhere, do make sure that's definitely been done, because that can quickly make a bargain not so much of a bargain. Obviously, buying from us, every car has all of these things done, and they're also all included in our 6-month warranty. A few last ones: airbag module. So driver's airbag module, very quick job. It's about sort of, I think 0.6 hours we bill for that. It's gone from 934 to 947. Charge port actuator, I think you booked one in a few days ago. It's gone from 195 to 213. That's the kind of quacking duck noise when you push it open. We were calling it a frog's noise, but then I heard someone say duck noise, and actually that's...
You can't unhear it, yeah.
That's much more sensible. I don't know what we were thinking saying frog-style noise, but... and motor mounts. So starting to see more of those. We did one earlier this week. This very much depends on the age of your car and whether you've got the metal or plastic brackets, because if you've got the metal brackets, we can just replace the motor mount on its own. That's gone from 257 to 271. Fixed price. That's with a new bolt as well, because they're single use. You can't reuse those. If you've got an older car and sort of 2014, really up to early 2015, you've probably got the plastic motor mounts. For complicated reasons, we can't just replace the motor mounts on those cars. We have to replace the brackets. So the whole thing needs dropping. On a BEV, that's gone from £1,010 to £1,060. On a range extender, it's actually a touch cheaper. There's a bit more labour, but the parts are a bit cheaper.
I think we've actually made, or not a dedicated video, but we mentioned it in one of our previous videos.
The car that went to the
Exactly, somewhere very nice, yes, not freezing cold like it is here in London. So yeah, also linked in the top right-hand corner if you want to check that one out, so you understand what these motor mounts and brackets actually are.
And that job's getting quite common, actually, because those pretty much all 2014, 2015 cars, unless they're super low mileage, it's always the left-hand motor mount that's starting to rip. So,
and it also depends on the driving style, and especially these being used as city cars, that's what puts more wear and tear on them. It also depends whether the software on those cars was updated, because over time BMW kind of detuned the power a little bit to put less strain on the physical parts.
Yeah, but as these are starting to appear sort of, well under £10,000, if you're buying one of those and it needs this job doing, £1,000 is quite a big part of the overall cost of the car. So that's some examples. We do, there's a whole lot of other things that we do that's also on the menu. I guess we can list them, or just generally list things that we do here often. But even if it's not shown or it's something rare, we can get, if it's got an i3 badge on it, we can repair it.
I think for the clarity, we should also mention a couple of things. First of all, obviously, if you're already booked in with us and we gave you a quote, we will not just kind of suddenly hike it up for you. We will honor that pricing, but
Yes.
from now on, all new bookings will follow the system. Speaking of which, we will leave the pricing linked in the video description. So if you want to take a look at the most up-to-date version of what we offer, that will be in there as well.
Sorry to interrupt, Martin. On that note, BMW actually change their part prices all the time. Usually it's very small changes, sort of pennies here and there, but occasionally we'll just check a price that we recently ordered and it was £100 and it's £350. Front reflectors on a pre-facelift, that change came out of nowhere. I can't remember what it went from, but it was sort of 80 to
it was
290 or something like that. So this video is obviously filmed on the 19th of February or whatever. The link below will have the most up-to-date prices based on the last time we did that job. If the price of the part has changed, we'll let you know when you book in.
And the last bit to mention is that obviously this kind of helps us to keep the business going and make some money along the way, because that's what at the end of the day a business has to do. But for some people, the prices may actually go down.
Yes.
Let's touch on that.
That's right. So if you've bought a car from us in the past, firstly, thank you very much. But also you'll probably remember on handover, we mentioned that by being a Wisely customer, you get 10% off all labour in the future for servicing and repairs.
The reason for the 10% off is obviously the thank you, as you mentioned, and a little incentive to buy from us if you're buying a new i3. Because as much as we love to fix these cars, it can occasionally become a little bit frustrating that we are picking up someone else's problems because a dealer did not prepare the car properly. And at the end of the day, we are primarily a sales business. So hopefully you can see that if you buy from us, you will definitely be well taken care of for the very distant future. Mm-hmm. And also, that's the point to mention that the 10% is increasing.
Yes.
To 20%.
20% indeed. So actually, if you're quick on maths, you'll work out that in line with the £90 going up to £100 labour rate, Wisely customers will actually now pay less labour. So instead of paying what was £81 per hour, it's now £80 per hour. So by buying from us, you're paying a tiny bit less than you would have last year, but you're paying quite a bit less than customers who haven't bought a car from us.
So just like you saw before, I will put that up on the screen again, our servicing menu, but you will also see the new prices with the loyalty discount applied. So with all of that out of the way, there are still a few questions which keep coming up, especially when we take the phone calls. So let me pass those over to you now one by one.
I'm ready.
Do we do mobile servicing? Because we did promise that a year ago, but then a few things have changed. And as we picked up the servicing work, I think we realized it will not quite work.
Yeah, we even bought a car with which to do it, but it's still not been converted. The short answer is, for now, no, we're not doing mobile servicing. It is something we looked at really seriously, and it's not a definite no forever, but for the moment, we don't plan on doing it anytime soon. We're already inundated with work from people willing to come to us. In many cases, they're traveling really quite some serious distance, but because of how efficiently we can do work and the labour rate being lower than a main dealer, in some cases they're saving thousands of pounds by coming down to us. So with enough demand already for people coming to us, the last thing we need is more on our plate. Another reason for it is very often we'll have a car in with us for job X, but we will find that it needs job Y doing on it. And really we're talking things at the back of the car, motor mounts, crankshaft position sensors, things like that. These are not jobs that you can do on a driveway. I wouldn't want to be working under a car with the whole drivetrain suspended. We have the one ramp at the back of our showroom which every service car goes on, and really to be offering mobile servicing, to turn up, to do job X and say, oh, by the way, you also need job Y doing, but I can't do it because I can't do it on driveway. It would mean that we're not fully taking care of you. So for now, servicing is just here in our London location. We understand that for some people, it's a little bit too far to travel, and we really appreciate and want to thank the people who do come, especially those from far away. Shout out to the chap who drives down from Aberdeen twice now. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So next one. What about other brands? Because based on our Auto Trader profile and what we've been pushing out on YouTube as well, we have now really branched out from these i3s. What are we going to service?
Yeah, good question. i3s have got more challenging for us to sell. I wouldn't say for everyone to sell, but for us to sell. Because we have to go to the same places, to the same sort of remarketing channels to buy these cars, or if it's from private sellers, we've got other dealers bidding with them. So generally we have to pay the same price for i3s as anyone else. We don't have a secret channel that we can go to buy them less. But on 14 plate, 15 plate, 16 plate cars, every single car now requires thousands of pounds to be spent on it, and in many cases that's the margin. So it's a challenging thing for us to continue working on. If we price them, accordingly, so take the £2,000 of extra work and the typical margin and price them a little higher, they won't sell because people, or very few people see that value. Most people buy on price. So yeah, it's become a struggle. We do generally always try and keep to a stock profile of between 3 and 6 years old. And actually a lot of i3s have now kind of gone beyond that point. So they're just a little bit too old. You've got to keep in mind we have our own in-house warranty. So selling cars that just due to age are more likely to go wrong, that's going to affect that warranty pot a bit more. So yeah, we do try to keep to 3 to 6 years. And most of our i3s at the moment are 120 amp hours. I think we've got 12 for sale, a bit lower than usual. There's 2 range extenders on there, and maybe, I think 2 60 amp hours, 194, and the rest are 120s. That was a long way of getting to the fact that, yes, we are a sales business, and actually there's a lot of new product that is selling really well, has a good margin in it, and these are things like MGs, Polestars. We like having the occasional Taycan in stock. We do very well on the vans, being in central London. You'll have seen a few videos Martin has done on the Maxus and the Nissan Ian V200s. So yeah, we have a pretty good spread on all sorts of EVs. Will we get into servicing them? No, we won't. I've always maintained that if you're going to do something, you've got to do it properly. It's taken us the best part of 6-7 years to grow our knowledge on i3s, and to start again with another brand or brands, I think will mean for a mediocre service, in that we won't know everything. We will waste your money in extra labor by chasing issues. So for now, we remain a BMW i3 servicing specialist. There is one area that we will probably move into, and we are already starting to look at, which is other BMW i products. So behind us we have this lovely i8. It's only the 3rd one we've ever sold. Martin recently did a video on that. You could link that above. Lovely car, but they're very hard to buy at the quality that we like here. But we are starting to do a few jobs on them, service, etc. On our own cars, and once we're ready to kind of go to market with servicing and repairs on i8s, we certainly will, because there's quite a few of them. Do we know how many there are on the UK roads?
Not quite sure, but definitely some of them have kind of started aging, and many of the knowledge is transferable between the i3 and the i8. So yeah, we just want to be confident with what we are doing.
Absolutely.
But once we are, then obviously we will definitely hear from us, either here or on our other social media channels.
Yeah, so i8, and then as iXs, iX3s, i4s, things like that start dropping out of warranty, we will naturally start selling them, and in the process of selling them, we'll learn about them and be able to kind of hopefully get to know them better and be able to offer you a servicing and repairs kind of package on that. Don't forget, we do have access to ISTA. We're an approved BMW independent service specialist in that regard. So a lot of the groundwork, the tools, the computers that we need to specialize in these cars, we already have. But yeah, Polestar, MG, that kind of stuff, we use main dealers for these cars. Very annoying, as a lot of them are 1-year service intervals. So generally speaking, we seem to constantly be servicing cars using third parties, but yeah, that's going to stay that way. And yeah, if you've bought a Polestar or MG from us, or you have one and you want to use us, I'm afraid we're not going to be offering that anytime soon.
Speaking of warranties and preparing cars, one of the reasons why we really are not compromising even on the older i3s is because with our in-house warranty, if something goes wrong, it's us who pay the bill at the end of the day, and it's extra inconvenience for us to drive out or have someone get the car in. Yeah. What about people who buy elsewhere and their cars are covered by kind of third-party warranties. There are some big names out there.
Yep.
Will we work with them?
No.
Nice and simple.
That's the answer. Dealing with these third-party warranty companies is a nightmare. It is why we moved away from offering their product, and we've got no interest in working with them on repairs. If you've bought the car elsewhere from a supermarket, another dealer, and they've offered you a product from, can I give names?
Let's not.
Okay, fine. But any of these kind of booklet-style warranties, and you think you can bring the car to us and utilise that, I'm afraid it's a no. You'll have to use the people that they recommend. You can still come to us and just pay out of your own pocket. If they have an ability for you to claim that back, then feel free to try. But no, we won't get involved. Above all else, we have 2 bookings per week for non-Wisely customers. And if you're a Wisely car owner, we'll squeeze you in sooner. So often we've got sort of 3 or 4 services a week, and we have 1 ramp at the back. If we're waiting on approval, waiting on estimates, waiting on them to send their independent assessors or whatever, it creates a huge bottleneck for us, and in the long run will probably cost us money. So yeah, I'm afraid unless it's our own in-house warranty, in which case pretty much come in next day and we'll see to you. Maybe not quite, but you know, we're ready to assist and bring you right to the front of the queue. But third-party warranties, it's a no.
Fair enough. Next up, and we are getting to the end, but this is an important one because we hear this very often. What do you have in stock? Oh, we don't quite have what I'm looking for. I found one elsewhere, one out of the many hundred on Auto Trader, which is the exact one I want.
Yep.
Do we do pre-purchase inspections?
We do. We always have. It's little known, but yeah, we do. It's £126 on the new price list. It's essentially a service, but without changing the consumable. So we'll still plug it into ISTA. We'll do a diagnostics. We'll do a road test. We'll get the car in the ramp and check all the usual things we check. It's not something we commonly do because in most cases people want it done sort of before they commit to buying it, and with the lead times,
yeah, it's a post-purchase inspection rather than a
it's more
pre-purchase.
a post, yeah. So unless your seller is very willing to kind of hold on and stall the sale for 2 months until your time comes in terms of our lead time, then it's a challenging one. But we do get people who have bought one and they just want, especially if they bought privately, because then it doesn't change anything. But just for peace of mind and safety concerns, as soon as they bought it, they'll book it in. So a couple months later, it'll come in. Again, I mean, I hate to be a...
You need to allocate some extra money, unfortunately,
Yeah.
for any repairs, especially on the older cars.
Yeah.
With the newer ones, which kind of freshly come out of warranty, it's usually not that problematic.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the older ones, yeah, I mean, you can risk it,
Yeah.
but that's the risk you are taking by buying one privately, and that's what you have to live with. Yeah.
Yeah, so we do them, but realistically, in most cases, it's a post-purchase inspection. But it's also something that you can do if you're selling the car. If you want to put it on the market privately, maybe you're not in sync with the service date. You're selling it, you know, the service was done a year ago. There's no point bringing it to us for a service. You can bring it to us for a pre-sale inspection, and we can give you a whole report, and you can use that or give your buyers peace of mind that we've had a look over it, and hopefully not found anything that needs doing.
Perfect. And last one is timings.
Yes.
When we have discussed that we are booking 2 months roughly in advance, but what about what days and what times we are looking at, and how long does it usually take to have the car worked on?
Yes, and to be fair, as you asked me that, I'm thinking of loads of other sort of service-specific questions, and to be fair, we'll include all those in the 3-part servicing series that's going to come out. So do make sure to subscribe, not to miss that. That'll probably be at some point this year in 2024. We've planned it since 2022, but this will be the year. But the answer is, so there's 2 slots a week, and they can be Monday to Friday. If someone else that week has already booked Monday, then obviously we can't do Monday. But yeah, it's Monday to Friday. We don't do Saturdays, I'm afraid, so that's not an option. But yeah, any weekday, Monday to Friday. In most cases, people will drop the car off in the morning, sort of after 9 a.m., go into town. We're really close to a tube station. You can make a day out of it, and then come back at the end of the day. Servicing takes, really, the car's done by early afternoon. If it's a more prolonged job, hopefully we should be able to get it done before the end of the day. The bigger jobs where the whole drivetrain needs to come out, or we have to wait on a part, then it's a case of working with us to leave the car and come back another day. One thing that's just come to mind, parts. So we carry, it fluctuates, but between £4,000 and £5,000 worth of i3 parts on the shelf, ready to go. So if we do find something unexpected, it's not a case of having to bring the car back another day. It's ready to go. We can do it immediately and you can drive off with all the work done. In many cases, that's a huge advantage rather than going somewhere and being told that they need to order the parts.
Especially the common ones, the batteries, the gaiters, the top mounts. But please, if you suspect that something is wrong, do let us know so we can allocate more time for the car on the ramp, and we don't have to rush the job because we don't want to compromise on anything.
Yeah, and on that note, if anything is found, we'll always ask first for your approval, and there's no pressure. Sometimes we'll be suggesting £400 or £500 extra work. We understand that not everyone's got that available immediately, so if you want to work with us to come back another time once you've saved up or whatever, that's absolutely fine. There's no pressure to get anything done, unless it's safety critical and we think you're going to crash on the way home, in which case we'll do our very best to try and convince you to do something about it immediately.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to add from your perspective?
I think if we think of anything, or just as important, if you guys have questions which we haven't answered, drop them below and we'll try our best to include them when we film the 3-part servicing series.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for watching. As Arthur mentioned, if you are in the market for an i3, this is the place to get in touch with. If you have an i3 which has any problems, this is also the place to get in touch with. And now I will rudely cover up Arthur with the link to our subscription button. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, you do that down there. And if you want to learn more about i3s, I will leave our i3 playlist in the top corner there. See you in the next one.
Bye.